Hi everyone. So today we are going to cover the rest of the chapters in project management. So let's start the developing a project plan. So in this session, um, by the end of the session, the student should be able to draw the diagram of a project network using arrow or nodes method, AON, and to calculate or determine the related calculation, which namely early start, late start, slack activities, identify the critical paths, and so on. And the student should be able also to explain the importance of slack in scheduling projects. Developing the project plan. So here is the explanation about the project network. Basically, it is a flow chart that graphically depicts the sequence, interdependencies, and start and finish times of the project job plan of activities that is the critical path through the network. You can read basically all the explanation here. The bullets there provides the basis for scheduling labor and equipment, enhances communication among project participants, provides an estimate of the project's duration, provides a basis for budgeting cash flow, identifies activities that are critical, highlights activities that are critical and cannot be delayed, and help manager get and stay on plan. Basically, this is the benefits or why we are doing this project network. We don't want to delay. We don't want to be delayed. Okay, we identify which activities. Maybe you have 10 activities, but 2 are very critical. Okay, so what are the meaning of the critical here? Okay, we are going to see, and of course, by having a good flow, that you can also estimate budgeting, good budget. We're going to see the example later on. So let me start. Basically, when you want to develop the network diagram, how it starts, basically from the lowest element. So previously in work breakdown structure, in the previous examples, we have seen, okay, how, what is work package and how we derive that, right? So now we just take the same example. If you still remember the circuit board, is one of the lowest element in our example previously. Okay, so we know that the circuit board, the company going to manufacture by themselves. They're not going to buy. Okay, so it's involve the design, cost unit, the production. Okay, the cost unit, testing department, and also the software department. So the design, this is the detail, okay? The specification, the documentation. So they have 2 steps to be done, okay? This is 1, this is 2. For production, they have 2 work packages as well, okay? This is like detail, okay? 1 and 2. And the test system, they have 1 activity, and the software, they are going to have the preliminary software and also the final version too. So from the work package, so we can create like a flow. It start with A. What is A? You can always come back to the example here. The A is, let's say, design, and the design is documentation specific. Whatever it is, okay. Just take the example. So A is, he start with A. Okay, D11. This is the detail. D11, D12. Okay, D11, D12. So they always start with design. Okay, based on this example. And then by having A, then you're going to do the B, do the C. You need to wait until B and C to complete, then you can start the D, then F, and then you done your project. So this is the end. So in more detail view, this would be the diagram. So A activity, the detail is specification and documentation. Okay, let's say the period is 2. Okay, just assume maybe 2 days or 2 weeks. Then B is prototype 1, maybe they need 5 days. And the preliminary software, they need 3 days. Okay, you need to wait until B and C completed, then you start D, F, and K. So this is the example. So now we want to get you familiarized with the terminology that we use when we working with the project network. The first one is activity. What is activity? Usually activity is an element of the project that requires time. Okay. So this is the example. We have the boxes here and we have A, B, C, and D. So this is activity A, activity B, activity C, and activity D. Merge activity is an activity that has two or more preceding activities on which is depends. Merge mean they have two activity, like let's say A and then B. Individually they are different, but they merge to one activity. Means that after A and B is D. So in this example, D is merge activity. And we can also have parallel or concurrent activities, which is the activities that can occur independently and if desired, not at the same time. Okay, means that they are parallel, okay, at the same time. You can see here is one activity. At the same time, here also we got another activity that taking place. Or you can also count this is one, and this is one. The parallel activity. Path is a sequence of connected dependent activities. Okay, so path mean the flow. Okay, usually depicts by the arrow. And a critical path is the longest path through the activity network that allows for the completion of all project related activities. Okay, so the shortest expected time in which the entire project can be completed. Delays on the project. So this is the impact. Delays on the critical path will delay the completion of the entire project. Okay. So here, assume minimum of A plus B, A plus B, the example here, A plus B, okay, actually is greater than the minimum of C. So let's say here is 8 days, so maybe here is 4. Okay, so which one is critical? This one is more critical because it's longest. Here is not critical because if it's completed in 4 days, they still have time to wait for another 4 days while waiting for B to be done. We're going to see more examples later on. Now it's just to understand the flow and to familiarize with the terminology. Event is a point in time when an activity is started or completed. It does not consume time. So event, okay? Burst activity, an activity that has more than one activity immediately following it. More than one dependency arrow flowing from it. Burst activity is like opposite to the merge, okay? So you have one, but later on you have more than one, okay? Like this example, from A, then it goes to B, C, and D. Basically, we have two approaches in constructing the project network, which is AON and also AOA. Activity on node, activity on arrow. And in our case, for the purpose of this subject, we are going to focus on the first one, which is activity on node. Uses a node to depict the activities. So this is the basic rules to follow in developing project network. You can read this by your own, I believe. It's typically flow from left to right. Okay, so it's going to start from left, then you're going to have another, and then it will just go. Okay, so we start from left side. Activity cannot begin until all preceding connected activities are complete. So if A need to be started, this should be completed before B. So you can't start A and B at the same time. You have to wait for the A to complete, then you start B. Okay, that's what meant here. Arrow indicate precedence and flow and can cross over each other. Okay, so basically the indicator is the arrow. Each activity must have a unique identifier number that is greater than any of its predecessor. Looping is not allowed, means that you do A, you do B, and then you want to do A again. No, this is not allowed. Conditional statements are not allowed. Use common stop and start. Okay, fine. This is the important. Okay, we are going to see activity or node, which is the fundamentals. We are going to understand how the flow works. Okay, how we read the activity. Okay, so let's see activity A. I mean the example A here. So we have three activity. We call it activity A, activity B, activity C. In real questions or in real environment, A can be anything. Maybe your product, you are doing manufacturing of the laptop. So here maybe you're purchasing the raw material, B is production, C is shipping. Example, it can be anything. Okay, so how we read this? How we read this? Okay, like here, it's given here. A is preceded by nothing. So A is preceded by nothing. Means that started with A. B is preceded by A. Okay, B is preceded by A. So the arrow here, B is preceded by A. The same thing here, C is preceded by B. C is preceded by B. Means that after B is C. Okay, this is how we read it. Another example here, B. Y and Z are preceded by X. So Y and Z preceded by X. So this is burst activity. We have additional information here. Y and Z can begin at the same time if you wish. Okay. So it can also be started not at the same time. Okay. This is merged activity. If you still remember, you have more than one and it became one activity. So J, K, and L can all begin at the same time if you wish, but they need not occur simultaneously. But all J, K, and L must be completed before M can begin. And M is a merge activity. So now we're going to see this example. Z is preceded by X and Y. Z is preceded by X and Y. So you need X, okay, this arrow, and Y to be done before it can start, or we can start the Z. Double A is preceded by X and Y, okay? And the same predecessor, X and Y, also need to be completed before they can start the A. So this is how we read. This is how we read. So this is the example now. We came to the example. In the question, we are going to give something like this. We're going to give the description, whatever it is. You should be given an activity, and the activity should have the, sometimes, yeah, they give the description and preceding activity. Okay. So you have A, application approval. Okay, preceding activity none. What this mean? What this mean? Means that A is the first activity. It's going to start with A. And then they have preceding activity A, B is construction plan. Preceding activity A means that after A is B. So after A is B. And then preceding activity A means that after A is C. So they have, after A, they have C. And then A, still A. Okay, means that after A is D. Okay, D. Okay, so now activity E is staff report. Preceding activity B and C. They have two. Means that after B and C is E. Okay. How about F? Commission approval. B, C, and D means that you need to make sure all the preceding activity been done before you can start the F. So it's B, C, and D. Then you can start the F. Okay, what's next? F is wait for construction, G. So after F is G. Okay, and E and G is H. So this is the last activity. Once you're done with H, E and G means that's going to complete the activity. So E and G is H. So this is the flow. The first thing that we need to identify from the given network information. Something like this. Okay. Hope you get this. This is the very basic activity that you should understand. So here is the answer now. Okay, for this one. Let's check. Is that the same? A, B, C, D. Yeah. A, from A flow out to the B, flow out to the C, flow out to the D. Next, you see, B to F, B to E. B to F, B to E. Okay, so basically it's like that. You can see the example here. So this is what that we got. Finally is H. Okay, means that this is the one complete network diagram. Okay, start with A, completed at H. So how you are going to calculate? So we have some information that you should understand here. We can do, one is forward pass analysis, basically to identify the earliest time. Okay. How soon can the activity start? How soon the activity finish? How soon can the project finish? Okay. Basically, this we can calculate with the term early start, or we use ES. Early start. So how soon can the activity start? Can we immediately start at day one or not? Activity finish, it's early finish. How early the project can be finished? Sorry, activity can be finished. And how soon the project is expected time for the whole completion expected finish. So earliest time we call it forward pass. And we also have backward pass, which is the latest. Okay, how late can the activity start? So we call it late start or LS. How late can the activity finish? The late finish, LF. Which activity represent a critical path? Okay, this is we are going to identify the critical path. How long, if the activity permit you to be delayed, the activity to be delayed, how long it can be delayed? So we are going to calculate the slack or flow. Basically, we use SL. Okay, so we go back to the same example. Okay, we already understand the flow. Okay, and now we have new information here. They give you time. Just assume this is in days. Okay, it can be weeks, but I'm not sure. Can't be years. How can you going to wait for 170 years? Okay, so this is the activity. So A require 5 days, B require 15 days, and so on. So now we came to the crucial part. You should be able to draw a table like this or boxes like this. Okay, this is the legend. We are not going to give you this in the final exam or in any assessment that we ask. You should remember this. So basically the boxes here, like here, the top left is ES. Actually on the top is early start, early finish. Okay, late start, late finish. Here is slack activity. This is ID, okay? The activity ID, like A activity, B activity, C. You can see here is given, right? This one is given, B is given. So ID is B. Description is all usually given. Description, what are the description? B is construction plan. And duration, the time that given, okay, is given. So you should be able to draw the full flow using this kind of table or boxes. It will make your life easy, especially in calculating the early start, early finish, late start, late finish, and also the slack. You can do manually one by one, but you're going to overlook something, then you're going to miss some information. So basically, it's good to follow this legend. Okay. So you draw box. Okay. Divided it into 3 and then 1 and just the first and the last one. Here is, you leave it for the description. Here is the given time. Here is ID. And the top one is early start. So it's early and early. The top one is early. So it's one is early start, another one is early finish. So here is late start, here is late finish, and we have slack. Okay, hope you got this. Next, going to show you how to compute the forward pass. Forward pass, you are going to calculate from the left to the right, this way. Okay, and we're going to start with activity number 1A. So because we don't have any information before A, so the early start is 0. Okay, we start with 0. Okay, 0. Because they didn't let you know anything. So it's 0. Okay, so how you compute the early finish? Early finish is here. So that's the first thing that we are going to do the calculation. 0 plus 5 is 5 here. Easy. Okay. 0 plus 5 is 5. So the early finish for A is 5. And then this 5 will goes to the each boxes here as early start. Okay, basically we're going to put on the arrow. Sometimes you need this, you need to write this, especially when you have two selection. So now is 5. Okay. So no, just only one, right? So directly goes here, 5. So early start is 5. Means that after 5 days, after A complete at day 5, then immediately they can start this. Okay. So 5. So day 5. How long they need the same thing take place? 5 plus 15 is 20. 5 plus 10 is 15. Okay, and 5 plus 5 is 10. So now, we need to really focus on the arrow. Okay, so next, let's say this 20, 20. Okay, okay, right on the arrow, as I said, 20, because you have more than one selection. From C, it also goes to E, 15. So they have 15. So here, for the forward pass, please remember that we are going to take the largest one, the largest type, 20. Here, from B, we have 20. From C, we have 15, the arrow. And then from D, we have 10. So we are going to choose the largest one. So it's 20. Okay, 20 plus 15 is 35. And then you write 35 here. 20 plus 10 is 30. Is no challenge, only 30. 30 goes here. 30 plus 170 become 200. So 35 and 200. Which one that we are going to choose as the early start for H? 200. Okay. 200 plus 35, 235. Early finish. So the same value, because this is the last activity, the early finish become late finish. The same information, we are going to write it here. So it's going to be 2, 3, 5. So we are done with forward pass. You know all the information that you need for early start and also early finish. I hope you understand till this point. So this is the explanation for forward pass that we did just now. Okay, add activity times along each part in the network. Early start plus duration. You're going to get early finish. Carry the early finish to the next activity where it becomes the early start. Unless the next succeeding activity is a merge activity, in which case the largest early finish of all preceding activities be selected. Okay, we did that. So now backward pass. Backward pass. So we are going to start from the back, from here, from right to the left. Now, okay, where we get this? Okay, because we need to start. So this is the starting point. But where we got this? Actually, it is the early finish of H. Okay, now you're going to going backward from the back. Okay, so now we are going to minus. Previously we plus, now it's minus. 235 minus 35 is 200. This 200 goes here. The 200, so it goes here. Same flow, but they're going to be minus. 200 minus 15, you are going to get 185. 200 minus 170, you got 30. Okay, 30 traveled here. Okay, 30. 30 minus 10 is 20. The 20, so it's going to flow here 20, 20. So just go because no other challenger or other flow. Here is also good 20. But you can't just put 20 easily here or here. I'm sorry, here. Okay. Especially on where you got another arrows coming in. Okay. A185. 185, 185. Okay, here is only one. Okay, no problem. So for C, you have the arrow from E and also arrow from F. So you have 20 and 185. For the backward pass, we are going to choose the smallest duration. Okay, 185 and 20, we're going to choose 20. Same thing here, 185 and 20, we choose 20. 20 minus 15, you're going to get 5. 20 minus 10, you're going to get 10. 20 minus 5, got 15. So now you have 5 from B, 10 from activity C, 15 from activity D. Which one that we are going to choose? We're going to choose the smallest because it's backward pass. So it's 5. 5 minus 5 is 0. Now you are done with all. We done this early finish, early start and early finish. Now we done on late start and late finish. I hope you got this. So we are done. So this is the explanation for it. Subtract the activity times along each part in the network. Basically, late finish minus the duration, you're going to get the late start. Carry the late start to the next activity where it becomes its late finish, unless next succeeding activity is a burst activity, in which case the smallest, okay, for backward pass, the smallest of all preceding activities is selected. So now the last thing that we need to do is determining the free slack, the slack or the float. What is slack? I told you it's a critical activity. It's the amount of activity that can be delayed. Activity that can be delayed after the start of a longer parallel activity or activities. So how long? Okay, how long this can exceed. So this will allow the flexibility in scheduling, especially the limited resources or scarce resources. So they talk something on sensitivity. The likelihood or the probability of the original critical path will change once the project is initiated. And the critical path is the network path that has or have the least slack in common. So least slack going to be the critical path. Okay, see the example now. Okay, we did this. Okay, we did this. I mean the everything for early start, early finish, late start, late finish. Okay, now you're going to calculate the slack. Okay, so slack is the difference between early start and late start, or you can say difference between early finish and late finish. Okay, so 0 minus 0 is 0, so you're going to write 0 here. Okay, you also can say 5 minus 5, 0. Okay, but just be consistent, take 1, so you're not going to be confused. It's not 0, 5 minus 0, okay, but 0, 0. Early start with late start. So 5 and 5 is 0, the difference, 5 minus 5. Okay, here, the difference between 10 and 5 is 5. The difference between 15 and 5 is 10. The difference between 20 and 20 is 0. 185 and 20, 165. 30 and 30, 0. 200 and 200, 0. So the activity, now we've done everything. So the boxes here are the slack, right? So the activity with 0 means that they are critical. This activity are critical, okay? This activity is critical. This activity is critical. Then, okay, this activity is critical, and this activity critical. So usually we are going to use the dotted arrow to indicate the flow of the critical path. So A to B to F to G to H. Okay, so those are the critical paths. This is the critical path. Hope you understand this. Okay, so this is the critical path. Okay, what is critical path? If the question asks you which is the activity that critical, so the activity is activity A, activity B, activity F, activity G, and activity H. They are critical. How about a critical path? So you just draw like a, just to indicate using the arrow. So A to B to F to G, G to H. This is the critical path. Critical path. And why? Because the slack is 0. The activity with 0 slack cannot be delayed at all. Why this can delay 5? Means that 5 minutes can be delayed for 5 days. Why? Because they are waiting for maybe this activity. Okay. So while waiting, so they can be delayed. The same thing here. The construction time is 170. Here is just 15. So this activity, it can be delayed for 165. Okay. While waiting for this activity to be completed, because both are needed before H can be started. But can this be delayed? No, this cannot be delayed because this is critical activity with 0 slack. So I hope you understand this. Okay, so we are done. So this is illogical loop, and I'm going to explain here. Actually, this is the example for air control project, the network diagram. And this is the network diagram that being created using the Microsoft project. Okay, using Microsoft project. So the red in color, this is critical activity. So basically it's just key in the information. You need to click certain buttons and then the diagram will just pop up. So you are being given a task to develop this kind of network diagram using a Microsoft project software in your assignment. So I just want to show this is the example of the network diagram that created through Microsoft project. You all need to create using Microsoft project, and at the same time you need to do it manually. Both activities need to be done to comply your assignment. Okay, so I think this is the last slide, and thank you very much uh, for watching the videos, and I hope you can do better. Anything you can ask me later on. Thank you very much.